This morning, what we know about an overnight weapons incident near UW's campus.
Plus, the Madison School District is reviewing its grading policies, what a weighted GPA system means for some courses.
And back on campus, we'll provide a detailed guide to help students and drivers know where to go as they prepare to move into their new housing.
Hey, thanks for tuning in and happy Monday. I'm Michelle Renee Quinn, filling in for Chris Stanford.
And I'm Kyrie Unley. Thanks for waking up with us. I like that little hey.
Try to switch it up a bit, you know?
Yeah, get people excited about Monday. I know it's always hard to, get up out of bed. I know it's a little harder for me to roll out of bed this morning. But we're here.
You're here. You made it. Yes. So let's get you started for that day. Savannah Brito standing by live in our studio in Madison with your current temperatures.
Thank you guys. Good morning. Did you guys open the windows over the weekend at all?
Did not.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, mixed, half and half.
The whole balcony was open.
Me
Fresh
too.
air was in.
Yeah, it was nice to allow the AC a little bit of a break, and that can be expected actually the next couple of days. Here's what we've got this morning. It is a little on the chillier side. Temperatures about 10 degrees below average. 50 in Madison now, 49 though in Edgerton, and that's pretty much the magic number everywhere except Edgerton across Dane County at least. Southern Wisconsin, we've got a lot of upper 40s, 49 in Prairie du Chien, Boscobel, Lone Rock, 46 in the Dells. How about 41 though in Black River Falls? I do think maybe seeing the upper 30s in that area far to our northwest. But yeah, it's definitely a cool start. Temperatures, at least those are going to rise to 68 later this afternoon. So at least 10 degrees below average, but at least we'll see the sunshine out there. It'll also be pretty breezy. We'll talk about how long the windy pattern's going to stick around and compare it to what we had outside yesterday.
Savannah, thank you. And first this morning, we begin with a developing story downtown. Madison police say they found multiple shell casings this morning while investigating an overnight shooting near UW's campus. Dane County Dispatch confirmed with News 3 now that the call came in just before midnight near West Gilman and North Carroll Streets. Nobody was reported injured in the incident, but police say a nearby building was hit by gunfire. Badger Safe sent out an alert about 15 minutes after the initial call, advising people to avoid the area, then declared the area safe roughly 30 minutes later. We are continuing to ask questions and monitor the situation, and we'll provide updates here on the air and online at channel3000.com as we learn more.
Jury selection for the second trial of the man charged with a murder at Madison's Harmony Apartments is set to begin in just a few hours. Devontae Gefford is charged with first-degree intentional homicide amid other charges for the death of Devon Grant in 2023. Police found more than 60 shell casings at the scene during their investigation. Gafford's first trial last year ended in a mistrial. Today's hearing is expected to begin at 8:30.
Today marks 9 years since an explosion rocked Fitchburg, destroying a house and injuring a person. The explosion occurred on Sherrill Drive, critically injuring 57-year-old Brian Grittner, who was the only person inside. It also damaged about 20 homes in the neighborhood. A few months after the explosion, the homeowner filed a lawsuit against Sears and an appliance installation company. He claimed that an uncapped gas pipe caused the explosion. Nearly a year later, officials determined that the explosion resulted from a natural gas leak.
Madison police are still searching for multiple people this morning after ticketing nearly 24 people at Olbrook Park. Authorities say between 125 and 150 vehicles were involved, with some driving recklessly and loudly. Over a dozen motorcyclists managed to drive away from the scene. Officials say they could be charged with a felony for evading police. Anyone who has any information is urged to call Madison Police, and that number is on your screen now.
And in other news this morning, the Epstein file saga. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee say the recently released documents are not new. They estimate only about 3% of the documents are new. The rest were previously made public. California Congressman Ro Khanna accused the Justice Department of stonewalling, saying it has released less than 1% of the files. A spokesperson for the Republican-controlled committee said the panel is still reviewing the 34,000 pages of the documents.
146 Russian servicemen are on their way back to their home country after being exchanged as part of a Ukrainian prisoner swap. The released soldiers boarded the bus earlier this morning to get psychological and medical assistance before returning to Russia. The United Arab Emirates mediated the switch, which includes an equal number of Ukrainian prisoners. It comes amid ongoing international pressure for the two nations to agree to a ceasefire.
In more national news, looking ahead now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott could sign the state's recently passed controversial maps into law as soon as this week. This move could give Texas Republicans 5 additional U.S. House seats in the upcoming midterm elections. Over the weekend, the Texas State Senate voted to approve the maps. Texas Democrats have pledged to challenge the maps in court, while California has released its own controversial maps in response. The House's leading Democrat said more states might follow suit.
Democrats are going to respond from coast to coast and at all points in between, as has been done in California, forcefully, immediately, and appropriately to make sure that Donald Trump cannot steal the midterm elections.
When asked about redistricting plans in New York, Jeffries said there's a plan to respond appropriately in New York and other parts of the country as the circumstances dictate.
This morning, there are now more than 2,000 National Guard troops patrolling the nation's capital, and now some of them are carrying weapons. Military officials say some service members may carry their service weapons. The Joint Task Force in D.C. says use of force is only allowed as a last resort. This escalation comes as President Donald Trump has threatened to deploy the National Guard in other major cities, with Trump saying Chicago is next.
Senator Bernie Sanders and congressional candidate Rebecca Cook criticized several Trump administration policies during a recent town hall. They focused on income inequality, government spending, and corporate power during the event. This town hall was also part of Sanders' ongoing Fighting Oligarchy tour. Cook emphasized the policy she would pursue if elected in 2026.
People are looking for folks that have had a lot of the same lived experiences they have, that have lived some of those failed policies, that are going to fight like hell to build back the working class and the middle class here in America.
The Vernon County Republican Party responded to the rally by holding a protest nearby.
The Madison Metropolitan School District is keeping its current unweighted GPA system for the high school. The district looked at the weighted grade survey completed by students, their parents, and staff. They reviewed policies from surrounding districts, looking at MMSD student data to explore the impact. They also examined how colleagues evaluate transcript and consulted with the Advanced Learning Department at each high school. A weighted GPA would have assigned a higher value for AP courses, dual credit, and honors classes.
Now, this week, UW-Madison is welcoming nearly 9,000 students back to the Residence Hall. Move-in will continue through Wednesday. So that would explain the busy downtown. At the Southeast Dorms, Park Street by Chadbourne Hall will be northbound only from University to Langdon. Lake Street by Whitty Hall will be northbound only from Dayton to Johnson. Dayton near Celery and Aug will be westbound only from Francis to Park. All of these start at 7 a.m. To accommodate move-in at the Lakeshore Dorms, Observatory Drive will be westbound only from Charter by Van Nuys to Babcock by Microbial Sciences. Drivers should expect delays. Metro Transit buses will detour around the congestion. Officials encourage families, students, and visitors to consider biking, taking the bus, or using other alternatives to avoid traffic delays.
And those delays are going to start in just 1 hour. So for anybody who is actively moving in, our Savannah Brito is standing by now in studio with your current temperatures as you're getting it going.
Well, good morning, guys. Current temperatures definitely on the chillier side of things. We have only a temperature reading of 50 right now downtown Madison, and our dew point's at 48. So yes, comfortable. We do have a little bit of patchy fog out there because we have higher humidity levels with those temperatures and dew points close together. Your sunset later, 7:43 p.m. and our winds are light right now, but that's going to change. It'll be a breezy day. Temperatures about 10 degrees below average, only reaching the upper 60s. That's after we only reached the lower 70s. A couple places were a little bit cooler than that, and that's what I expect again this afternoon. We'll talk about when we could see near normal temperatures and a sneak peek of that extended Labor Day forecast coming up.
Savannah, thank you. Coming up, the Milwaukee Brewers giving sports legend Bob Uecker a touching tribute. The highlights of the special pregame ceremony ahead in our morning sports.
And an outpatient program is set to return to Meritor Health. Still ahead, what the hospital will be providing for patients.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Welcome back. In your morning medical news, Meritor's outpatient addiction treatment services will resume later today. Hospital officials say the new program will offer group therapy, education, and peer support for participants. Licensed therapists and substance abuse counselors will be on staff during evening sessions. The program will run Monday through Thursday from 3:30 p.m. to 6:30. If you'd like to learn more, call the number on your screen. That's 608-417-8144.
Air pollution from oil and gas is killing 91,000 people in the U.S. annually and causing hundreds of thousands of health issues. A University College London study finds cancer, preterm births, and asthma are just some of the illnesses linked to air pollution from oil and gas, primarily from burning fossil fuels. Now, the states with the biggest health impacts are New Jersey, New York, California, and Maryland.
Excessive so-called hidden fat can age your heart faster. That's according to a study in London that found tissue, which is fat found deep in the abdomen, around the stomach, intestines, and liver, is linked to accelerated aging of the heart and blood vessels. This type of fat can't be seen from the outside, meaning some people can have lots of visceral fat, even if their weight is healthy. Well, let's check in now with Savannah. It's obviously a lot chillier out there this morning than we have been expecting, so I definitely had to turn on the heat in the car this morning.
Yeah, it was a cold start. I put my seat heaters on for a little while on my way in, and I definitely had the sweatshirt and sweatpants handy. We also have a few very spotty showers. This is not going to lead to any rainfall accumulation, but you can see that just near the Lake Koshkonong area to the east of Stoughton and near Edgerton. Those areas are going to see minimal showers. We've got a weak outflow boundary, and then ahead of a next week cold front Wednesday night. That's our better chance for showers, but a slight chance at most. And again, it's not going to be widespread or a washout. So dry conditions, mostly dry conditions sticking around the next several days. We've got a lot of areas down to the mid to upper 40s, 49 this morning in Boscobel, 46 in the Dells, 50 in Madison, and then 48 in Janesville. So yeah, definitely a cool start. I think tomorrow we'll have more widespread mid to upper 40s out there compared to where we're sitting right now. But at least we've got a nice sunrise. Not a lot of cloud cover, but we do have lower visibilities out there with that outflow boundary and the couple spotty showers that we have. That live look was outside of Platteville. Temperatures there also expecting to climb into the upper 60s. So we'll actually be about 10 degrees below average this afternoon, and it'll be breezy. So winds pick up out of the northwest. This is about 3 p.m. the forecast, with winds gusting up to about 20, maybe a few areas slightly higher than that, 20 to 25 miles per hour. They come down a bit overnight, but we're still looking at 5 to 10 mile per hour wind gusts. And then tomorrow back up to about 15. That's pretty much where we're going to stay the next several afternoons. With the cool down comes the breezy conditions. And then those showers that I was talking about, we got a weak cold front that'll swing in Monday or Wednesday overnight into early Thursday. This is about midnight. I don't think we're looking at that until early Thursday morning, but that could take us into the early afternoon. I think then more so the showers are going to be east and to our south, down across areas like Rockford, the Chicagoland area at that point in time. We're drying out, but still got a lot of cloud cover that will wake up to Friday morning. I think after that, the sunshine slowly going to return for your Labor Day weekend. But temperatures, yes, they'll be a little bit warmer, but still nowhere near our average. Our average high is 79, and you see the warmest temperature up there on Friday of 75. But then heading into Labor Day weekend, I think those temperatures are going to fall a little bit more, so the lower to mid 70s.
In your sports news this morning, it would be an uphill argument to say someone is more synonymous than the late, great Bob Uecker. The voice of the Brewers had a half-a-century broadcasting career and passed away this past January, leaving behind a legacy that will echo through the franchise for generations. Lance Allen caught up with another broadcasting great on what Uecker not only meant to Milwaukee, but to the sports world.
I'll root for the Brewers.
From Bob to Bob.
We were very friendly, very close.
Bob Costas couldn't be more honored to be the master of ceremonies for the Uecker Celebration of Life ceremony before Sunday's Brewers game at American Family Field.
Well, Milwaukee obviously meant everything to him because he could have left. He was a big national star. He could have left, and he stayed. Wisconsin was where he was born and raised. It's where his career began as a player with the Milwaukee Braves, and it's where his more than half-century career as a Hall of Fame baseball announcer played out. What he meant to Milwaukee, I think it's fair to say this. Even Hall of Famers like Robin Yount and Paul Molitor or Ted Simmons would say that Uke was the biggest star on the team.
Costas and Euchre spent time in the NBC booth calling games together. Yet this Bob loves a story even before his time with the legendary Howard Cosell.
And Uke is listening to Howard suggest some kind of strategy that made no baseball sense. And Uke tries to gently, if not correct him, then differ with him. And Cosell persists. And Euchre differs with him again. And then Cosell says, Uke, you're awfully truculent tonight. You do know what truculent means, don't you? And without missing a beat, Uke says, of course I do, Howard. If you had a truck and I borrowed it, then that would be a truck you lent. Very, very rarely was Howard Cosell ever flabbergasted. That was one instance when he was. He had no comeback.
I don't mind being soaked, but I got to drink some too. You know, that's the bottom line.
Uke was one of the funniest people they have ever been around, and that he had the timing and delivery of a professional comedian.
Which means there was no one like Mr. Baseball.
You've been around a lot of famous people. How one of a kind was he?
Completely one of a kind. One of a kind and the word unique, they're thrown around carelessly. They don't always apply. But Uke was a great broadcaster, yes, and a great public personality in terms of being an entertainer. Think of the Major League movies. It's impossible to get to everything about the rich life he had.
And the celebration would continue into the afternoon as the crew takes on the San Francisco Giants. Bottom of the third, Christian Yelich at the plate, getting a shot through to bring a runner home. Brewers tie it up 2 even. Then in the fifth, Caleb Durbin at the plate, and he really gets things going, taking it a 1-run lead, but that would just not be enough. Bottom of the ninth, Giants would play. Spoiler alert, they get 2 runs, and that's all she wrote. Brewers come up short. 4-3 is the final.
And we are just a few days away from the Badgers kicking off their 2025 season. And our Eric Franke and sports director Andrew Banstra will get you ready for it. We're hosting Wisconsin Game Day live from the UW Fieldhouse at 6:30 on Thursday, getting you ready for game day and, of course, breaking down all the X's and O's.
Still ahead, while the temperatures are cooling down, One Wisconsin Dells Brew Pub is still bringing the heat. Kyrian shows you the recipe just ahead.
And coming up in our next half hour, a special program is helping Madison area students look sharper as they get ready to return to class. Summer may be winding down, but at Wisconsin Brew Pub inside Kalahari Resorts in Wisconsin Dells, the flavors of the season are still going strong. Joining me now is Chef Roberto. Thanks for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. We're running our Hot as August burger special, right? So we're talking a little bit of flavor, like we want something fresh, a little bit of kick to it. So our signature burger for this month we're gonna have is a brisket blend. You're gonna have a little bit of that fattiness, really nice bite to it and chew. For today, we're choosing pepper jack cheese for our build-up. So we have our nice smashed patties with our pepper jack cheese, and then we're topping it with our pico de gallo. Our pico is a little bit different from our common pico de gallos, on other places. Our pico is finished with green onions instead of cilantro. We think a little bit about everybody. So we're gonna top it with pico de gallo and red onions, some freshness. So what we're looking here in this burger, basically, is we want something fresh, not too heavy, have a little bit of kick, a little bit of acidity, with the pickled jalapenos as well, right? So we're gonna build this really nice over here.
You can smell the fresh flavors too.
Right, it smells like a garden in here right
yes.
now. And we're gonna finish. We're using Wisconsin Brew Pub. We're using currently brioche buns. For me, is the best burger bun that we can utilize. We're finishing, of course, with our Brew Pub sauce. It's basically a mayo, ketchup, pickles, and some other spices. It's our signature sauce. We use it for all the burgers. We have fries with it. It's a fan favorite for sure. We do have a shake menu, and we always try to keep up in trend. See what's new, what's hot, what's going on. So in Wisconsin Brew Pub, we came with the idea of building a Dubai chocolate shake.
Yes, and it looks amazing. Can you highlight some of the award-winning dining at Kalahari Resorts?
Yes, of course. Kalahari is very big in food and beverage. We have a plethora of options for our guests right there at Kalahari. We can start with Double Cut Steakhouse. It's an award-winning steakhouse. We have Italian. We have Sortino's, Italian food. We have Cinco Niños, Mexican cuisine. We have pizza. We have quick bites. We have fried chickens. We have everything in the resort. Like, we can feed. You just pick your choice.
New overnight, shots fired near State Street. What we know this morning.
Plus, downtown Madison is about to get a lot busier. The traffic impacts as students are moving in.
And making local kids feel confident ahead of the school year. The relief from one parent after a free haircut. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Now this morning on your Monday, August 25th. I'm Kyrian Lee.
And I'm Michelle Renee Quinn, filling in for Chris Stanford.
So if you're headed out the door this morning, definitely a little bit chillier than expected. I went out there full force, didn't have a light jacket or anything. I just took it as it is.
You're wild. I got the pants on. I had a jacket on. Oh,
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it's okay. It's coming. It's okay. This was just a little light work before what's to come.
Okay.
So, but if you are headed out there, you probably do want that light jacket. I know Savannah had on her jacket and sweatpants this morning, so.
Well, let's send it over to her now and see what's going on. Miss Savannah, what can people expect? Can you help us plan their day?
Yeah, definitely a cool start, guys. So want to grab that at least sweatshirt, if not lighter jacket. We'll see temperatures rise not a lot, though, this afternoon. We're at 50 right now, and that's pretty much where most of us sit, right near that 50-degree mark. But there are several areas across southern Wisconsin down into the mid to upper 40s. 57 at 9 in the morning, and then temperatures climbing into the upper 60s later today. It's about 10 degrees below average. At least we're mostly dry today, but cool and breezy. Winds are going to gust up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour as we head into later this afternoon. We'll talk about how long the breezy conditions will stick around.
Savannah, thank you. Developing this morning, Madison police are saying they found multiple shell casings at the intersection of West Gilman and North Carroll Streets. That's near State Street.
The call came in just before midnight, and so far there are no injuries reported. Police say an occupied building was hit but did not get to the inside. UW-Madison sent a WISC alert through the Badger Safe app just after midnight, telling people to avoid the area. Over half an hour later, they sent another alert that people can continue as normal.
Madison police need your help identifying a man who followed someone home on the city's east side. Here's a closer look at him. Officials say he followed the person to their home on the east side on August 20th, even though he had no reason to do so. If you have any information, you are asked to contact the Madison Police Department. The number's on your screen right now, 608-255-2345.
In a developing story this morning, we're working to learn more about an incident involving hazardous materials near a gas station in the Cottage Grove area. The Madison Fire Department says a person in the 2700 block of County Highway N near the BP in Cinnabon dumped a 55-gallon drum of chemicals onto the ground. That was yesterday, and then they left the area. Cottage Grove responded just after 9:30 in the morning. They say they were concerned because of labeling on the drug, and they called in Madison's hazardous incident team. They say there is no threat to waterways or people in the area.
Today, jury selection begins for the man charged with murder at Madison's Harmony Apartments. Devontae Gafford faces charges of first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree reckless endangerment of safety, and possession of a firearm as a convicted felon. This will be his second trial on the homicide charge after a mistrial last year. Prosecutors say Gafford shot and killed Devon Grant in 2023 at the Harmony Apartments, a location with a history of violence. Police found more than 60 shell casings after two groups exchanged gunfire. Jury selection starts this morning at 8:30.
Now to a follow-up on a story we brought you earlier this summer. A Beloit contractor, Joshua Wilkes, owner of Rock County Fence and Deck, is making his initial court appearance today. Wilkes is accused of taking full payment in March 2024 from a homeowner to remove and rebuild a deck. However, he removed the old deck in October of 2024, never returning to rebuild it. This allowed animals to burrow under the house through that exposed ground. Now, Wilkes has multiple open cases for unpaid taxes and is also being sued by First Community Credit Union. This all follows a similar story we broke in June, resolved by Madison's Call for Action team. It involves that same contractor and a Janesville man who Call for Action successfully was able to get a refund for after his deck was never built. Again, that contractor faces 1 count of felony theft by contractor, and if convicted, Wilkes could be sentenced up to 6 years in prison and fined up to $10,000.
Developing nationally this morning, President Donald Trump is threatening to deploy the National Guard to other major cities, as now over 2,000 troops are on the streets of D.C. Trump now saying Chicago will be next. 2 officials confirm President Trump is considering that option to expand his crackdown on crime and illegal immigration. Democrats in Illinois say they will sue if the president deploys the Guard, with Chicago's mayor pointing to a 13% drop in crime in the Windy City since last year. It's unclear how many troops he might send and when.
Happening today, President Trump will host South Korea's president in Washington for their first summit later today. Trade will be one focus after the U.S. agreed to 15% tariffs on South Korean goods, along with an investment package. The trade deal was reached last month after the U.S. threatened 25% tariffs. President Trump has indicated more South Korean investment in the U.S. could be announced.
Turning now to the Middle East, overnight an Israeli strike hit Gaza's largest hospital, killing at least 8, 4 AP journalists among those killed. Meanwhile, in Yemen, at least 2 people are reported dead and 5 wounded after Israeli strikes pummeled parts. The Israel Defense Forces say the strikes were a response to repeated attacks conducted by the Houthis. Officials say the attack targeted 2 power plants, a fuel storage site, and the military site where Yemen's presidential palace is located. These strikes were the first to hit Yemen in over a week.
Well, the voice of the Brewers, the late, great Bob Uecker, had a half-a-century broadcasting career and passed away this past January. He left behind a legacy that'll echo through the franchise for generations. Yesterday, the team celebrated his achievements ahead of their game against San Francisco. Let's take a look at those highlights. Bottom of the 3rd, Christian Yelich at the plate, getting a shot through to bring a runner home. Brewers tie it up to even. Then in the 5th, Caleb Durbin at the plate. And he really gets things going, taking it to a 1-run lead. But that's just not enough. Bottom of the 9th, and the Giants would play. Spoiler, they get 2 runs, and that's all she wrote. Badgers come up short, 4-2 in the final.
And coming up this week, the Badger season opener. Be sure to tune in right here to News 3 Now this morning for special live coverage ahead of game day. Plus, our Eric Franke and sports director Andrew Banstra will get you ready with Wisconsin Game Day live from the UW Fieldhouse at 6:30 on Thursday. They will break down the X's and O's and gear you up for game day.
College students are getting ready to head back to school soon. This week, UW-Madison is welcoming nearly 9,000 students back to those residence halls.
Move-in will continue through Wednesday, so if you're headed downtown, there will be a little bit of congestion. For the southeast dorms, Park Street by Chadbourne Hall will be northbound only from University to Langdon. Lake Street by Whitty Hall, northbound only from Dayton to Johnson. And Dayton by Celery and Aug will be westbound only from Francis to Park.
To accommodate move-in to the Lakeshore dorms, Observatory Drive will be westbound only from Charter to Van Hise to Babcock by Microbial Sciences. Drivers should expect delays. Metro Transit buses are also going to be detouring around the congestion. Officials encourage families, students, and visitors to consider biking, busing, or other alternatives to avoid traffic delays.
And those one-way changes begin at 7 o'clock this morning. More kids are heading back to school feeling confident this year. That's thanks to 30 barbers across Madison who gave 1,000 kids free haircuts ahead of the school year. Hosted by JP Hair Design, the 17th annual Back to School event took place at the Alliant Energy Center. One single mom who had a difficult summer said this event gave her one less thing to worry about.
People would have made fun of my kid if he went ahead with an afro. He doesn't have his hair all nappy and everything.
Along with haircuts, kids could also pick up free books and school supplies. So definitely love to see it. Love to see our local barbers giving back to the community. That's what it's all about.
Every school year, people come together for clothing drives, school supply drives, back to school haircuts. It's all about community and helping those kids, and I love to see it too.
Yes, we're seeing a lot of that as the school year gets started. I know the school year is starting today and throughout the next couple of weeks for many students across our area.
Absolutely.
So as they're headed out the door this morning, Savannah, we know it's a little bit cooler out there.
Yeah, it's definitely cool, and some spots are as low as the mid to upper 40s. We're still hanging on to just the 50-degree mark here in Madison. At least we've got that sunshine to help, but it's going to be breezy and stay cool all day long. Temperatures are only going to top out in the upper 60s later today. That's about 10 degrees below average. As far as the temperature pattern and precipitation pattern to follow this is right about Labor Day weekend into the first week of September. I do think we'll have cooler than normal temperatures, at least a dry weather pattern though, so it's not necessarily going to be a cool rain, but you can see a lot of that country in the green. So if you're traveling to those areas, expect some precipitation. We'll time out any chances of showers we could see this week and talk about how warm it's going to be or how cool it's going to be for Labor Day.
Savannah, thank you. Coming up in your consumer news, the top film at the box office has already been streaming for weeks, and more on this weekend's top movies.
Plus, Savannah got to stretch and relax with some adorable yoga partners. Her experience with puppy yoga just ahead.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Welcome back. In your consumer news, the top movie at the weekend box office has already been streaming, a hit for weeks. Now that's Netflix's K-pop Demon Hunters. It's believed to be the top film at the box office. Industry insiders say the Sony animated musical movie raked up to $18 million over the weekend. Netflix just has a policy of not reporting ticket sales. Weapons is still going strong after bringing in more than $15 million, followed by Freakier Friday with more than $9 million. Now, depending on where you live, you might want to check your freezer. Bluebell is recalling some ice cream over an allergy risk. The recall applies to a limited quantity of its half-gallon Millennium Crunch ice cream. Now that was mistakenly packaged in chocolate chip cookie dough cartons. The cartons do have a Millennium Crunch lid. The company says the ice cream has undeclared almond, walnut, and pecans inside of it. Consumers can return the ice cream to the store for a full refund.
Wisconsin is not on that list, so there's that. Tonight, millions of Americans can take a shot at winning Powerball's 10th largest jackpot in the game's history. An estimated $750 million is up for grabs with a cash value of more than $336 million.
A new experience at the water park capital of the world. A pair of Wisconsin Dells brothers are launching a new eco-friendly water park. The new Land of Natura Park utilizes the area's wildlife and ecosystem to help clean the water in the man-made lake. The lake holds an estimate of 15 million gallons of water, but more than 30 million gallons of water flow through the natural filtration system. One of the site's owners said it's surprising to see something that nature does on first hand.
When you try to replicate nature, you learn many things that you never thought you would learn, because it's amazing how nature takes care of its own.
The owners also say the water park is giving tourists with skin sensitivities a new way to visit the water park capital of the world.
Let's check in with meteorologist Savannah Brito, who's getting us ready as you head out the door.
Good morning, guys. Check out our temperatures. It's a pretty chilly start. Might want the jacket. I do think this is where we're going to stay the next couple of mornings, so not a ton of improvement, but once we get closer to Labor Day weekend, slightly warmer temperatures are going to return. We're at 50 only this morning in Madison, 51 in Monroe, 48 in Janesville. That's where a lot of us have fallen to this morning. Widespread mid to upper 40s out west of here, and that's where most of us are going to wake up to tomorrow. So I think it'll be a cooler night ahead. At least we're dry and mostly sunny right now. This is a live look outside of Platteville this morning. A lot of blue out there, and that's expected all day long with temperatures topping out in the upper 60s. Our average high is 79 though, so we'll be about 10 degrees cooler than normal, unfortunately, and it's going to be breezy. Winds are out of the northwest. That's what's pulling in some cooler air, and gusts by the afternoon, those could reach about 20 to even 25 miles per hour. They're going to come down slightly overnight and take more of a westerly direction, but still going to see those gusts between about 10 and 15 miles per hour. And that's where we'll sit tomorrow afternoon and most of the next several afternoons. That's what we're going to see, 10 to 15 miles per hour. So not great lake days, but at least we've got lower humidity and mostly dry conditions. The only chance of rain is when you see that slight rise in our dew points. That's late Wednesday into early Thursday when they come close to the 60-degree mark, and then they're going to come back down Friday and Saturday, heading into Labor Day weekend, which is some good news because, yes, I do think it's going to be dry for the majority of Labor Day weekend. Shower chances come through late Wednesday into early Thursday morning. That's with another weak cold front that moves in. They're going to be brief. It's not going to last that long, and then by the afternoon, most of those showers are going to be sitting south of here across northern Illinois. Our next chance for showers, those are going to return for Labor Day on Monday next week. After that, though, I think it could stay active into Tuesday with us drying out and falling again with the next cold front on Wednesday. So we don't have near normal temperatures, but at least Labor Day right now is looking dry and temperatures that'll be in the mid 70s. So, you know, it's not going to be crazy below average like what we're seeing today, which is some good news because I know a lot of people like getting out on the lake.
Oh, yeah. These temperatures seem a lot more reasonable than they were 2 years ago. Jacob was saying over the weekend, 2 years ago, it was 90s all week for Labor Day.
I'd rather have that.
Really?
Yeah, because I like being on the lake.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, the water and the cooler temperatures don't always mix that great.
And a little last hurrah of summer or whatnot.
Yeah.
I understand wanting that last hurrah, but you know what? You had a hurrah this weekend.
I know. I went out to the beach on Saturday.
There you go.
We did some puppy yoga, which was so fun. I've been wanting to try this forever, and we finally got a chance. Take a look. You may have heard about sip and stretch, maybe even goat yoga, but how about puppy yoga right here in Madison? I've been wanting to try this out for several weeks, and now's our chance. Come on.
We know that yoga reduces stress, right? It reduces cortisol, it's our stress hormone. But puppies, they increase oxytocin, which is our love chemical. So we started at the end of October last year, and we started with just once a month, kind of seeing like where it would go. And then all of a sudden it just kind of grew and people were driving 2 hours to come. The puppies are from different either breeders or shelters. The owner, Tatiana Lutsenko, always partners with a different breeder and or shelter. The puppies always kind of match the personality of the class because it's always different. And they're really fun and playful like the group is. And then one day it was like rainy and it was quiet and the puppies were quiet and everyone was a little bit more like, okay, let's just chill. The community has actually really responded. Every single class, I feel like we have a different group of puppies, a different group of people, and it's all about like just fun, light playfulness. And I guess for me, that's like my instructor, like core heart. Like working out doesn't have to be hard. We make it heavy. Self-love, self-care, whatever you want to call it, taking time for you. It can be fun, it can be light, it can be playful, just like a puppy. And so maybe you don't want to go run today, but you want to come to puppy yoga and sit on a mat and maybe do 0 of the yoga poses I'm telling you. I'm okay with it. If you smiled once, like, let's do it. If I can have someone walk away and be a little more light, a little more loving, a little more playful, like, game on, let's go.
So fun and such easy access. It's close to our station on the Madison West Side at the Fred Astaire Dance Studios. And the next couple of classes, September 6th, October 4th, there's a couple additional ones later in fall, so you have plenty of options. And you can just either go to their Instagram, which is yoga_with_puppies_, or their website, which will have a link on our website too, channel3000.com, after the show with where you can go to sign up.
Looks like you didn't get much of a workout in, but maybe a lot of puppy cuddles out there.
Puppy love.
Less yoga, lots more puppy love.
So worth it. It was awesome.
Well, thank you, Savannah.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming up in the morning sprint, new data reveals the environmental impact of using AI.
But first, we're wishing a happy birthday to Dallin Jr. Happy 3rd birthday from everybody here on your News 3 Now This Morning team. It's time for the morning sprint.
Madison police are investigating a reports of shots fired at the intersection of Gilman Street and Carroll Street. Police say they found multiple shell casings there and an occupied building was hit. Dane County Dispatch has confirmed to News 3 Now that the call came in just before midnight, and so far there are no injuries reported.
Jury selection will begin for Devontae Gafford, the man charged with a murder at Madison's Harmony Apartments. He's charged with first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree recklessly endangering safety, and possession of a firearm as a convicted felon. This will be the second trial on the homicide charge after a mistrial last year. The jury selection begins this morning at 8:30.
The environmental impact of artificial intelligence is becoming clearer. Google just released data on its Gemini AI chatbot and found that a single text query uses less energy than watching 9 seconds of television, emits about 0.03 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent, and consumes about 5 drops of water.
President Trump added another city to those he's considering sending in National Guard troops, Baltimore. The president also saying he's considering deploying troops to Chicago and New York City as he did in Washington, D.C. Some troops in the nation's capital are now carrying firearms.
The governor of Texas could sign the state's recently passed controversial maps into law as soon as this week. The move could allow Texas Republicans to secure 5 more U.S. House seats in the upcoming midterm. Texas Democrats have pledged to fight the maps in court, and California has released its own controversial maps in response.
UW-Madison is getting ready to welcome 9,000 students to the dorms this year. Move-in is already happening now and will end on Wednesday. This will impact traffic around the dorms starting in just 5 minutes, so drivers expect delays. Metro Transit buses will be detouring around the congestion, and officials are encouraging families, students, and visitors to consider biking, busing, or other alternatives to avoid traffic delays.
Well, it's definitely going to feel like September outside today. Maybe a good note to send the kiddos that are starting today off back to school, because it'll only be 68 degrees later this afternoon. Not looking forward to the cool down, but at least we've got plenty of 70s to follow that. So
yes, and plenty of sunshine too.
Exactly, nothing but blue behind us.
That's what we love to see.
Yes.
Thanks for watching News 3 Now this morning. Coming up next is CBS Mornings.